Hello everyone! I'm really excited to do this video today because The Third Man is one of my favorite movies and I've wanted to talk about it for a long time. I have already mentioned it a couple times before, once in my Joseph Cotten autobiography review, which is pretty old now, and in my film noir video, but I don't think I'll be satisfied until I devote an entire video to this movie. A couple things have been holding me back, though. First, there's the spoiler issue, which is kind of tricky. I do not want to give anything away for anyone watching this video who has not seen the movie, which unfortunately means that there's a whole bunch of things I can't talk about. Second, and this is really a problem I have every time I do a favorite movie review video, it quickly turns into a series of bullet points listing everything I love about the movie. And then last week, it suddenly occurred to me, why don't I do just that? Make a video listing my 10 favorite things or 10 things I love about The Third Man, and maybe that will help me avoid the spoiler problem. So here we are. But first, a summary. The Third Man is a mystery, suspense, noir film from 1949, directed by Carol Reed and written by Graham Greene, starring Joseph Cotten as Holly Martins, a pulpy Western writer who arrives in Vienna at the request of his old friend Harry Lime. But Holly arrives in Vienna too late. Harry Lime is dead. But the circumstances of his death make no sense, and though everyone warns Holly to forget it and go back home, he stubbornly sets out to uncover the truth. And now for my list of favorite things, 10 reasons why I love The Third Man, starting with number 1, Joseph Cotten. I love Joseph Cotten. He's been one of my favorite actors for a long time now. I think I've told you that 1 or 2 times before, and this is one of his best films. To see a favorite actor doing some of his best work in a movie that I'd really like even if he wasn't in it is a winning combination. His performance in Shadow of a Doubt, which is also a favorite movie of mine, might have a slight edge over this one, but his character here is more appealing. He's just a regular guy trying to do the right thing who gets pulled in over his head. But while Joseph Cotten is the lead, even I have to admit that it's Orson Welles who steals the show. Welles comes into the movie very late, and his total time on screen is less than 15 minutes, but he changes everything. When people think of this movie, they think of Orson Welles, his famous last-minute addition of the cuckoo clock speech, his overlapping, murmuring style of dialogue, and of course, his entrance, which must be counted entirely separate from Welles himself, as it is one of the movie's best, most famous scenes. This is a big reveal in the plot, so I can't talk about it in too much detail, but it is one of the best character introductions on film. At this point in the movie, audiences have been waiting and wondering where's Orson Welles for about an hour, and then he finally shows up, and it is glorious. The lighting, the music, the close-ups, the cat, Joseph Cotten's reaction, and Orson Welles' face. Welles has a very impressive body of work, including Citizen Kane, which I do happen to like. But that cheeky look he gives Joseph Cotten from the doorway is unquestionably my favorite thing he ever did. As a side note, I really enjoy watching Welles and Cotten together. Cotten was a member of Welles' Mercury Theater group in the 30s. They worked together several times on stage, radio, and film through the years, and were good friends in real life, so it's always a pleasure to watch them share the screen. But it isn't just about Cotten and Welles for me. Number 4 is all the supporting characters. There's Anna, Harry's heartbroken girlfriend that Holly falls hopelessly in love with, played by Alida Valli. Major Calloway, played by Trevor Howard in one of his driest roles, my favorite of his performances. Payne, Calloway's assistant, who turns out to be a fan of Holly's novels. Crabbin, who I love, even though he's only in 2 or 3 scenes. The porter, the little boy, the landlady, the Baron, Dr. Winkle, the balloon seller. All very unusual, unforgettable characters that make up the rest of this perfect cast. Number 5 is the writing. The Third Man was written by Graham Greene, the famous British novelist, and I find the script pretty delightful. The movie is by no means a comedy, but in my opinion at least, it's got several amusing parts and strokes of dark levity. Many of the quirkiest lines are spoken by the British characters, who come off as even more quintessentially British than usual, contrasted as they are with Joseph Cotton's very American character. I think the dryness of the delivery, the matter-of-fact attitude the characters have toward everything, and how the dialogue adds to the strange, off-balance tone of the film overall really sells the script for me. But from a larger perspective, while The Third Man is a mystery, there are a lot of other themes at play. The gritty aftermath of war, the devastation of a friend's betrayal, the disappointment of lost love or unrequited love, which I'm always a sucker for, and the crisis of a moral dilemma. There's a lot going on, but it all works together really well. I won't say more beyond that because therein lies spoiler territory, and as I said, I don't want to give anything away to anyone watching this who has not yet seen the movie. Number 6 is the cinematography. The Third Man won the Academy Award for its black and white cinematography, so of course it's a highlight. It's renowned for its use of Dutch angles, shots in which the image is tilted. Director Carol Reed did not invent the Dutch angle, which first came into use during the German Expressionist era, but he was the first to use it so prominently as a storytelling and mood-enhancing device, chiefly to convey disorientation. But when I think of how the movie looks, it's about more than the Dutch angles. The black and white photography looks fantastic, and the camera takes full advantage of the shadows, the scenery, the way the addition or subtraction of light alters an image. There's more I could mention, but I'll just say I never get tired of looking at this movie. Number 7 is the editing. Now this is something that I never really noticed before. I picked up on it this last time that I watched the movie a couple days ago, and I noticed it right from the beginning. The movie starts with an opening monologue featuring Carol Reed's voiceover talking about the old Vienna versus the new Vienna born out of war. The succession of images we see moves very rapidly, reflecting the voiceover but also supplementing it with images that show the extra meaning behind the words. The best example of this is when Reed casually refers to amateurs who attempted to get into the cutthroat black market trade and failed. What we see on screen for a couple seconds is a body floating face down in the river. The sewer chase scene also has some remarkable visual and sound editing that play around with perspective. In any given scene in the film, the camera itself doesn't move around much, but the editing style of quick cuts and alternating angles gives an impression of movement and rapid pace. Number 8 is post-war Vienna. I've alluded to this already, but it gets its own slot because Vienna is such an integral part of the movie. This isn't the charming old Vienna of Strauss days. This is a desperate, cynical city, divided up into 4 occupied zones governed by the Americans, the British, the French, and the Soviets, with one shared international zone in the center where the movie takes place. The film, which was shot largely on location, treats Vienna less like a backdrop and more like another character who looms over the plot. The bombed-out buildings, piles of rubble, and dark winding roads tell their own story, as do the characters who inhabit them. Sketchy racketeers looking for a profit, and suspicious locals trying to scramble together a living as honestly as they possibly can. Number 9 is the final scene. This is kind of tricky to talk about since it is the end of the movie and I'm committed to not giving anything away, so I'll just have to be vague. I considered slipping a mention of this scene in under another category, but which one? Under writing, because it was such a daringly unexpected, realistic note for a movie to end on in 1949? Under editing, because of the bold absence of a cut that would have made the scene end sooner and robbed it of its effectiveness. Under cinematography, because it's such a beautiful shot, with the tree-lined streets, the falling leaves, Joseph Cotton's casual but hopeful attitude, Alida Valli's long walk toward the camera. No, I couldn't put it under any one category. What makes the scene so special is all of those things together, so it has to go on its own. Number 10, last but absolutely not least, the music. Anton Karas's zither music is one of the most famous, recognizable things about this movie. If you don't know what a zither is, here's a picture. The story goes that while in Vienna, Carol Reed happened to hear Karras playing his zither at a party, and was so taken with the unique sound that he asked Karras to write the score for his movie. The resulting score was a huge success. The Third Man theme was released as a single and became a #1 bestseller in both the UK and the US. The music adds so much to the peculiar atmosphere of the movie. There's the jaunty main theme, but also the slower, more melancholy or pensive music, such as accompanies the final scene, and the excited or frantic strumming at key moments. Like the story, the characters, and the lopsided photography, the music is slightly off-kilter and unexpected. It's just the right kind of music this movie needed. The Third Man is one of my go-to movies I mention when someone asks for a recommendation. If you have not seen it and it interests you, I hope you'll check it out. And if you have seen it, I'd love to know your thoughts. Just be careful. Did I mention no spoilers? I hope you liked this. I'd like to do more videos focusing on classic movies and classic actors. It's always been a part of my channel, but I feel like recently it's gotten a little neglected, so I'm planning to bring it back into the rotation a little more frequently. So I hope you'll like that, I hope you'll look forward to it, and as always, thanks for watching!